Deep in the heart of Borneo's untamed jungle, a group of scientists believed they had found the discovery of a lifetime, a rare flower called the Blood Orchid, said to hold the secret to eternal life. But the jungle had other plans, because lurking beneath those dark, endless waters was something ancient, something massive, something that had been feeding on that very orchid for decades. They didn't go hunting for an anaconda, but the anaconda? It was already hunting them. Let's go. At the beginning, we see a group of Americans heading toward a dense forest in an old private boat. It all started at a pharmaceutical company meeting in New York, where two researchers, Gordon Mitchell and Dr. Jack Byron, presented their findings on a rare flower called the blood orchid, discovered deep within a remote jungle. Their research revealed that the juice of this extraordinary flower could be used to create a medicine capable of dramatically slowing down human aging. In simple terms, ordinary people would stop growing old so easily. They would remain young and fresh for a remarkably long time. Basically, every anti-aging cream company's worst nightmare. Now, the surprising part is that this flower grows only in a specific location deep within the Borneo jungle, and it blooms just once every 7 years. So this team of researchers, funded entirely by the pharmaceutical company, sets off on a mission to collect the orchid before that narrow window closes. Their only goal is to find this rare flower within the next 2 weeks. Here's where things get interesting. When the research team arrives on the coast of Indonesia, ready to head into the jungle, the weather takes a dramatic turn for the worse. And because of the dangerous conditions, not a single boatman is willing to take them anywhere near that forest. But with the blood orchid blooming for only 2 more weeks, failure is simply not an option. So Dr. Jack does what any desperate scientist would do. He throws a pile of money at the problem. He convinces a captain named Bill Johnson with an offer too good to refuse, and Bill agrees to navigate them through the storm. Captain Bill and his partner Tran set off with the research team on that old weathered boat. Now let me quickly introduce you to the full team. You already know Gordon Mitchell and Dr. Jack Byron. Joining them are Sham, Gail, Cole, and Doug. All of them share the same mission: retrieve the blood orchid within 2 weeks. Midway through the journey, Gail suddenly loses his balance and falls overboard into the river. And almost instantly, a ferocious crocodile lunges and attacks him. Without hesitating for even a second, Captain Bill dives into the water, kills the crocodile, and pulls Gail to safety. Basically, Bill decided that drowning and crocodiles were not included in his job description, but he handled it anyway. After that, Bill warns everyone clearly this jungle is full of deadly traps at every step, and they must always stay alert. Shortly after, heavy rain causes the river water to rise dangerously. Captain Bill warns Dr. Jack that continuing on their current route has become far too risky, and suggests they take an alternate path. Dr. Jack refuses, arguing they simply don't have the time to reroute. So Bill does what any reasonable person would do in a life-threatening situation. He doubles his fee. Dr. Jack agrees without blinking, because getting that flower matters more than anything else. And so they press forward. The very next morning, disaster strikes. Their boat loses control and plunges straight down a waterfall. Captain Bill fights desperately to save the vessel, but it's no use. The boat is destroyed, and the entire team is now stranded deep in the middle of the jungle with no way out. At this point, even the GPS would have given up and gone home. Captain Bill, keeping his composure, advises the group that if they can push forward and reach a nearby riverbank, one of his friends stationed there might be able to rescue them. With no other option, everyone agrees, and they make their way through the dense jungle toward that location. While crossing a swamp along the way, a massive anaconda suddenly strikes, attacking Dr. Ben and swallowing him whole right before everyone's eyes. The team is completely horrified. Captain Bill tries to calm everyone down, explaining that an anaconda typically takes about a week to digest a person, so they have a window of safety before it gets hungry again. Cold comfort, really, but comfort nonetheless. When someone asks whether this is the only anaconda in the area, the tension rises again. Bill admits he has never seen a snake this large in his entire life. Based on his experience, he believes a snake this size would dominate a vast territory, making it unlikely that another anaconda of similar size would share the same area. He encourages everyone to keep moving. However, the rest of the team is ready to call it quits. Everyone wants to abandon the mission and head back. Dr. Jack strongly disagrees, insisting it would be foolish to come this far and return empty-handed, especially with millions of dollars worth of opportunity waiting just ahead. Captain Bill, on the other hand, puts his foot down. One of their team members is already dead, and that is where his cooperation ends. Then the situation gets even worse. Bill's friend, who was on his way to rescue them by boat, is swallowed by another anaconda en route, causing his boat to crash and shatter on the riverbank. When Captain Bill and the group arrive and see the wreckage, all hope of a rescue seems completely lost. In this desperate situation, Tran and Captain Bill recall that violent tribes are known to live along the banks of this river. If they can locate locate these tribes by following the riverbank, there may still be a chance for help. The group gathers whatever useful supplies they can from the wreckage and pushes on. Further along the path, they stumble upon a badly decomposed body. And to everyone's shock, Captain Bill recognizes it as his friend. The captain explains grimly that the body was likely regurgitated by an anaconda. When these giant snakes sense danger during digestion, they vomit out their prey to lighten their bodies so they can move and strike again. So the snake didn't just eat his friend, it changed its mind. Terrifying, but oddly relatable. Despite this horrifying discovery, Bill rallies the group forward and soon they spot a native village nearby. However, they quickly realize the villagers have already fled, driven away by the threat of the anacondas. Left with no choice, the group begins building a small raft from bamboo left behind by the natives, planning to cross the river and find their way back. While constructing the raft, Dr. Jack spots a blood orchid growing nearby. This confirms they are extremely close to their destination. Jack immediately urges the team to push forward one last time and retrieve the orchid before heading home, but the rest of the team wants absolutely nothing to do with it anymore. No flower is worth their lives. Seeing this resistance, Jack grows frustrated and furious. Then Gordon opens one of Jack's bags to bandage a leg wound and makes a shocking discovery. Inside the bag is a radio and a pistol, both secretly taken from Bill's friend's destroyed boat. Jack had been hiding these from everyone the entire time. Gordon is about to expose Jack to the rest of the group, but Jack moves faster. He releases a venomous spider from a small box he had been secretly carrying. The spider's venom causes instant paralysis, and the moment it bites Gordon, his body goes completely numb. He cannot move a single muscle. With Gordon immobilized, Jack grabs the essentials and heads straight for the raft. A snake, a spider, and a villain. This jungle really had it all. Near the raft, Shiam grows uneasy, sensing something is wrong with Gordon. When he walks over to check, he finds Gordon sitting completely motionless, frozen like a statue. At that very moment, a massive anaconda appears and swallows the paralyzed Gordon alive. Shiam screams in absolute terror, and the others rush toward him. Dr. Jack seizes this moment of chaos. While everyone is distracted trying to save Gordon, Jack takes the raft and escapes alone down the river. The remaining group, in a desperate attempt to kill the snake, sets the entire native village ablaze. But when they return to the riverbank and find the raft gone, despair sets in once again. Shiam, thinking quickly, points out that if they run through the jungle along the river, they can get ahead of Jack and intercept him on the other side. With no alternative, they sprint forward, only to come face to face with yet another anaconda. Panicking, they stumble into a dark cave. Inside the cave, Cole gets separated from the others and finds himself completely alone in the darkness. After some time, Tran manages to locate him, but tragically, before they can escape, an anaconda grabs Tran. Cole, terrified, barely manages to flee. When Captain Bill later enters the cave searching for the group, he finds Tran's flashlight floating on the surface of bloody water. Bill fears the worst. As Bill leads Shiam and Gale out of the cave, another anaconda blocks their path. Shiam manages to grab a hammer and strikes the snake, severing its head in a moment of pure desperation. But the danger is far from over. Yet another anaconda wraps itself around Cole, squeezing tightly. Bill reacts instantly, despite his injured hand, and drives his knife into the snake, killing it and saving Cole once again. At this point, Bill deserves a raise, a vacation, and possibly a medal. Finally, they track down Dr. Jack and spot the raft. Jack had gone ashore alone to search for the flowers. Seeing their chance, Bill and the others plan to take the raft and escape, but Jack returns at the last second, pointing his gun at all of them and demanding their help in collecting the orchid. To make sure Bill doesn't try anything, Jack shoots him in the hand, wounding him. Then, at gunpoint, Jack forces the group to a location where, on the other side of a deep pit, clusters of blood orchids bloom in abundance. The only way across is a narrow, unstable log bridge, and below, hundreds of massive anacondas writhing and coiling in the pit, gathered together because it is their mating season. Truly the worst field trip destination imaginable. When everyone flat out refuses to cross, Jack raises his gun again. He forces Sham at gunpoint to walk across that terrifying log. Against every instinct in his body, Sham crosses to the other side, collects the orchids, and fills a bag. But on his way back, the log suddenly snaps. Shyam is left dangling over a pit full of anacondas, holding on for dear life. Dr. Jack, more concerned about the flowers than the human being hanging over a snake pit, screams at Shyam to throw him the bag. Shyam, showing remarkable coolness under pressure, fires back. If Jack doesn't drop drop the gun, the bag goes straight into the pit. Jack, unmoved, threatens to shoot the others instead. Under pressure, Shyam tosses the bag, but it doesn't reach Jack. It snags on a branch midway and dangles there. In that brief moment of chaos, the injured Bill lunges forward and tackles Jack, wrestling him for control, but Jack overpowers him and climbs down to retrieve the hanging bag of flowers. And then Karma arrives right on schedule. The same venomous spider Jack had been carrying escapes from its container inside his bag and bites him. Jack is instantly paralyzed and falls straight down into the pit below. A massive anaconda opens its jaws and swallows him whole without hesitation. And just like that, greed claimed its final victim. After Jack's grim end, the remaining survivors work together to pull Shyam to safety from the edge of the pit. But danger makes one final appearance. Another enormous anaconda rises from the pit and begins moving toward them. Gale doesn't hesitate. She grabs a nearby fuel tank and hurls it at the snake, then fires a flare gun directly at it. The explosion is massive. The blast causes the surrounding cliff to collapse, burying the entire pit and every anaconda inside it forever. Unfortunately, the explosion also destroys all the blood orchid flowers in the process. The cure for aging? Gone. But at least the team is alive. In the end, Bill, Shyam, Cole, and Gale survive this nightmare against all odds. The four of them climb onto their battered little raft and begin their long journey home. Exhausted, wounded, but breathing. And with that, this incredible story of greed, survival, and very angry snakes comes to a close. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to comment below and tell me what else movie or series you want me to recap next.